This is the story of a soldier who, through a twist of fate, eventually becomes emperor. On the road marched a soldier, his backpack slung over his shoulders, a long sword hanging at his waist. Having fought in many battles, he was now returning home. Along the way, he encountered an old witch, a truly repulsive woman, whose lower lip drooped down over her chest. She said,
"Good evening, soldier. That is a fine sword you carry and such a magnificent knapsack. A real soldier through and through. And tonight you may have all the money you desire."
Thank you, old witch.
Do you see that big tree? It's empty inside. If you climb to the top, you'll see a small hole. From there, you can slide right down and enter deep into the trunk. I'll tie a rope around your waist so that when you call, I can pull you back up.
What would I be doing down under the tree?
Take the money. You will see if you enter the tree. There is a wide corridor. It's very bright, with over 100 lamps burning. You'll see 3 doors. You can open them. The keys are already in the locks. In the first room, in the center, there is a large chest. A dog sits on top of it, its eyes enormous, like teacups. But don't pay attention to it. I will give you my blue checkered apron. Lay it on the floor, then quickly pick up the dog and place it on my apron. Then you can open the chest and take as much copper money as you like. If you want silver coins, go into the second room. There sits another dog, its eyes as big as water wheels. Again, do not bother it. Place it on my apron, then take the silver coins. If you want gold, you can also achieve it. Go into the third room. There sits a dog on the chest, its eyes as large as round towers. But do not fear. Just put it on my apron and it will not harm you. Take as much gold from the chest as you can carry.
Well, that sounds fair enough. But what do I owe you, old witch? I suppose you don't mean to give it for nothing?
Nothing is free in this world. I only need one thing from you. Bring me the old tinderbox. My grandmother left it there, the last time she went down.
Fine then. Tie it around my waist.
The soldier climbed up the tree, and in a moment slipped down into the hollow trunk. Just as the old witch had said, he found himself in a long corridor lit by hundreds of lamps. He opened the first door. Ah! There sat a dog, its eyes as large as teacups, staring straight at him.
Well, aren't you a big one?
So he lifted the dog and placed it upon the witch's apron. Then he took out handfuls of copper coins, filling his pockets with as many as they could hold. He locked the chest again, set the dog back on top of it, and went into the second room. Ah! There sat another dog, its eyes as large as mill wheels, staring at him without blinking.
Don't stare at me like that. You'll hurt your eyes.
He lifted the dog and placed it upon the witch's apron once more. When he saw the chest filled with shining silver coins, he threw away all his copper pieces at once, stuffing his pockets and his knapsack full of silver instead. Then he stepped into the third room. Good heavens! This was truly frightening. There sat a dog whose 2 eyes were as large as round towers, rolling in its head like great wheels.
Good night.
Never before had he seen such a dog. But after staring at it for a while, he began to think to himself.
That's about it.
He lifted the dog down and set it upon the floor. Then he opened the chest. Good heavens! There was more gold than he had ever imagined. With it, he could buy all of Copenhagen. He could buy every sugar pig from the cake seller, every tin soldier, every whip, every rocking horse in the world. Yes, there was money enough. The soldier poured out all the silver from his pockets and knapsack, and filled them instead with gold. Yes, his pockets, his knapsack, his hat, even his boots were crammed full. He could scarcely walk under the weight of it. Now he truly was rich.
Hey! Pull me up, old witch!
And called up through the hollow tree.
Have you got the tinderbox?
You're right. I completely forgot about it.
Then he went down once more and fetched the tinderbox.
Why do you need the tinderbox?
That's none of your concern. You've got your money. Just give me the tinderbox.
Enough of that. Tell me what you want for now, or I'll draw my sword and take your head.
I won't tell you!
In one swift motion, the soldier cut off her head. She fell to the ground. He wrapped all his money in her apron, slung it over his shoulder like a bundle, put the tinderbox safely into his pocket, and walked straight toward the town. It was a splendid city. He took lodging at the finest inn, chose the most comfortable rooms, and ordered his favorite dishes and wine, for he was rich now, rich beyond measure. The servant who polished his boots thought it quite amusing that such a wealthy gentleman should wear boots so old and worn. But he had not yet had time to buy new ones. The next day he purchased proper boots and handsome clothes. Now our soldier had become a fine gentleman indeed. Everyone in the city told him all its news, told him about the king, and about the king's daughter, a princess of extraordinary beauty.
Where can I find her? No one is allowed to see her.
She lives in a grand copper palace with many walls and towers around it. Only the king himself can go there freely, for once there was a prophecy that she would marry a common soldier. And this the king could not endure.
I'd like to see her.
The soldier thought of the princess, but he was not permitted to see her. For a time he lived merrily enough. He went to the theater, strolled through the royal gardens, and gave away generous sums to the poor, for he himself knew well how dreadful it was to have nothing at all. Now he had money, fine clothes, and many friends. They all declared him a remarkable man, a true gentleman and a hero. Such words pleased the soldier greatly, but he spent money every day and earned not a single coin in return. At last, he had only 2 copper coins left. So he was forced to leave his fine rooms and move up into a little attic beneath the roof. He polished his own boots, mended them with a needle himself, and none of his friends came to visit him any more. The stairs were too long and too steep for them to climb. One evening, it was very dark. He could not even afford a single candle. Then suddenly he remembered that there was a small end of candle still in the tinderbox, the very tinderbox the witch had helped him fetch from beneath the hollow tree. He took out the tinderbox and the candle end. But the moment he struck the flint and the spark flashed out, the door flew open of its own accord, and there before him stood the dog with eyes as large as teacups, the very dog he had seen beneath the tree. It said,
"My master, what do you command?"
What is this? What a strange tinderbox. If I can get whatever I want this way, that would be something indeed. Bring me some money.
With a soft whoosh, the dog vanished. A moment later, another whoosh, and it returned, carrying a large sack of money in its mouth. Now the soldier understood what a marvelous tinderbox this truly was. If he struck it once, the dog that guarded the copper coins would appear at once. If he struck it twice, the dog with the silver would come. And if he struck it 3 times, the dog of gold would stand before him. So the soldier moved back into the splendid rooms once more, and dressed again in fine clothes. All his friends immediately recognized him again, and were suddenly very attentive to him. Once he thought to himself,
It's strange that no one may see the princess. Everyone says she is beautiful. Yet if she always stays alone in that copper palace, with its many towers, what's the point? Couldn't I at least catch a glimpse of her? Where's my tinderbox?
he struck a spark from the tinderbox. Instantly, whoosh! The dog with eyes as large as teacups leapt out.
It's midnight, nice and quiet. Still, I really want to catch a glimpse of the princess, even if just for a moment.
The dog ran straight to the door, and to the soldier's great surprise, returned a moment later, carrying the princess. She lay upon the dog's back, already asleep. It was clear to anyone that she was a true princess. The soldier could not resist, and leaned down to kiss her, for he was, after all, a proper rogue. The dog carried the princess away once more. But at dawn, as the king and queen were having their morning tea, the princess spoke.
I had such a strange dream last night. I dreamed that a dog and a soldier came to me. I was riding on the dog and the soldier kissed me. Well, that's a very curious little story.
So the next night, an old lady in waiting was ordered to sit beside the princess's bed to discover whether this was only a dream or something far stranger. The soldier longed to see the lovely princess again, and so, that night, the dog returned, lifted her upon its back, and ran off as fast as it could. The old lady quickly slipped on her overshoes and followed at the very same speed. When she saw them enter a large house, she thought,
Ah, now I know this place.
She drew a large cross upon the door with a piece of white chalk, and then went home to sleep again. Soon the dog brought the princess back, but when it noticed the cross marked upon the soldier's door, it cleverly fetched a piece of chalk as well, and marked crosses upon every door in the city. It was a clever thing to do, for now every door bore a cross, and the old lady could not possibly find the right one. Early the next morning, the king, the queen, the old lady, and all the officers arrived together to see where the princess had been. When the king saw the first door marked with a cross, he said,
Here it is!
but the queen noticed another door marked with a cross, and she said,
My dear husband, isn't it here?
What is
At
this?
once everyone cried out together, There is one! There is one! For wherever they looked, they saw crosses upon the doors. So they concluded that searching further would bring no result. But the queen was a very clever woman. She could do more than merely ride in a carriage. She took out a pair of golden scissors, cut a piece of silk into small strips, and sewed a delicate little bag. She filled it with the finest buckwheat flour, tied it to the princess's back, and snipped a tiny hole in it so that the flour would scatter along the path wherever she went. That night, the dog returned once more, lifted the princess upon its back, and carried her to the soldier. The soldier had now fallen deeply in love with her, and dearly wished he might be a prince so that he could marry her. The dog, however, never noticed that the flower trailed from the palace all the way to the soldier's window, for it climbed the wall as before and slipped inside. By morning, the king and queen could clearly see where their daughter had been. They seized the soldier at once and threw him into prison. They told him,
Tomorrow you shall be hanged.
it was not a pleasant thing to hear. And besides, he had forgotten the tinderbox back at the inn. It was dark and miserable there. The next morning, through the iron bars of his little window, he saw crowds streaming out of the city to watch him be hanged. He heard the beating of drums and saw the soldiers marching. Everyone was running toward the spectacle. Among them was a shoemaker's apprentice, still wearing his leather apron and a pair of slippers. He ran so fast that one of his slippers flew off, striking against a wall. And there the soldier sat, watching through the iron bars.
Hey, you little shoemaker! Don't wash!
There's nothing to see until I arrive. But if you run to where I live and fetch my tinderbox, I'll give you 4 coins. You'll have to run fast, though.
The shoemaker's apprentice, eager to earn the 4 coins, ran at once, fetched the tinderbox, and brought it back to the soldier. And then we shall soon see what happened. Outside the city, a tall gallows had been raised. Around it stood soldiers and thousands upon thousands of townspeople. The king and queen sat upon a splendid throne, facing the judges and all the counselors assembled there. The soldier had already mounted the ladder, but just as they were about to place the rope around his neck, he said,
It is only fair that a condemned man be granted one harmless wish before his sentence is carried out. The people should allow him that. And I would very much like to have a pipe of tobacco, perhaps the last I shall ever smoke in this world.
The king did not refuse this request. So the soldier took out his tinderbox and struck it. Suddenly, all 3 dogs leapt forth at once, one with eyes as large as teacups, one with eyes like mill wheels, and one whose eyes were as vast as round towers.
Help me! Please don't let them hang me, Ang!
At once the dogs sprang upon the judges and all the counselors. They seized one by the legs, bit another by the nose, and flung them high into the air, higher and higher, until they came crashing down, dashed to pieces upon the ground.
You must not treat me like this!
But the largest of the dogs seized the king and the queen as well, and hurled them into the air with the others.
Little soldier!
You shall be our king! And have the beautiful princess!
And so, the people lifted the soldier into the king's grand carriage. The 3 dogs danced before him, crying out, "Hurrah!" The children whistled on their fingers, and the soldiers presented arms in salute. The princess stepped forth from her copper palace, became queen, and was perfectly content. The wedding festivities lasted for 8 full days, filled with splendor and celebration. And the 3 dogs sat at the banquet table as well, their eyes wider than ever before. In The Lord of the Rings, power is a corrupting temptation, and the heroes resist it. But in the Tinderbox, power comes suddenly as a tool, and the soldier embraces it. Yet in Andersen's world, this audacity is rewarded. Could this be the subtle satire of the storyteller himself?